This is Taylor. She is 20 years old and has had an eating disorder since she was 12. She was first diagnosed with bulimia, then anorexia, but Taylor's symptoms didn't match either diagnosis. Taylor would binge, purge, and limit her calorie intake all through high school, while she was also part of her high school dance team. Her disorder got worse in college when she would faint during dance practices.
Allie, who is 23, was an Ivy League softball pitcher. When she was sidelined by a shoulder injury, Allie became obsessed with staying fit and eating healthy so she could get back to softball. Allie would give herself extreme dieting rules. She would count calories and measure exact portions for each meal. She would exercise constantly to the point where her friends were no longer part of her life. Allie's actions caused her to stop menstruating, lose her ability to concentrate, faint, and have night sweats.
Although Taylor and Allie lived different lives with different routines and symptoms, they were both diagnosed with EDNOS, according to an ABC News article. EDNOS stands for Eating Disorder Not Otherwise Specified and is characterized by constant focus on weight, occasional binging and purging, and chronic dieting. People with EDNOS are not commonly underweight, but rather in shape or overweight, according to a USA Today article.
Although not very well known, EDNOS makes up 70% of all eating disorders with a mortality rate of 5.2%, which is higher than any psychiatric diagnosis, according to the ABC News article.
According to the following graphs from a Science Direct Journal article on eating behaviors, the majority of patients with EDNOS were in their 20s and were female. A little over 50% had a history of an eating disorder, and a little fewer than 50% had sought previous treatment.
Furthermore, the majority of patients with EDNOS were white and were single. However, this graph shows that the main differences between eating disorders fell under the patient's eating disorder behaviors.
A study done by the Stanford University School of Medicine was covered by the Washington Post, in which they found that boys are more likely than girls to be diagnosed with EDNOS, with a percentage of 62.2% versus 49.1% respectively. This is due to the fact that doctors were asking questions about patient symptoms with white females in mind, rather than in the diverse groups of people or people who strive to be fit and healthy, according to the Washington Post.
This bar graph from the International Journal of Eating Disorders shows how the DSM, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, has changed the criteria for eating disorders between editions. The DSM-4 shows that 86% of people with an eating disorder had EDNOS, but when the DSM-5 was published and included a binge eating disorder, the EDNOS percentage dropped, but not enough to be lower than that of other eating disorders.
These tables from the Journal of Treatment and Prevention show the percentage of male and female students with an eating disorder diagnosis by year. In 1995, 14.4% of women and 4.3% of men had EDNOS. By 2008, 26% of women and 21% of men had EDNOS. This shows that the percentage of male students diagnosed with EDNOS increased dramatically between 1995 and 2008. All in all, EDNOS is a very serious eating disorder,
with a variety of symptoms,
But it is not very well known.
Why?
shouldn't people be more aware of something so serious?